A freedive blackout claimed the life of a young man in the Helford River. A blackout is a loss of consciousness, otherwise known as fainting. This can be potentially fatal when submerged.
It can be very dangerous. So you encounter things like blackouts, dangerous fish, becoming tangled. Even the spig on itself, when diving with a buddy, can be potentially fatal. So first of all, to avoid any dangerous situations, you should always have good equipment. You need to test that your bands on your gun or your seals on your compressed air gun, if that's what you're using, are intact. You don't want them breaking when being used, accidentally firing. So that's the gun. You also would like a knife, which is probably your most important safety feature, because if you become tangled deep under the water, there's no other way out really, other than cutting yourself free, unless you have a buddy, of course, which you should always have. Weight belt, that's also very important because it helps you sink. You generally need to sink to at least 20 feet for most species, so obviously you want to retain as much oxygen doing so. Increases your downtime. Wetsuit, of course, also important because you need to keep your heart rate low. So obviously you want to be warm in the water, freely able to move. So yeah, the dangers. So like I said, blackouts, there are two types of those. You get shallow water blackout and deep water blackout. And they're different in their cause, but they will appear very similar. So shallow water is due to hyperventilation on the surface, which increases your heart rate and tricks your body into thinking you have more oxygen than you actually do. So on your way back up to the surface, you can instantly black out with no warning. Lots of people don't even know they've had a blackout once it's happened. They've been later informed. So then there's deep water blackout, which happens in the same way, as it will be instant. You won't know it's going to happen. But it's caused by a reversal of the transfer of oxygen through your lungs due to coming up from depth. It's quite technical, but basically instead of pushing oxygen into your blood, it will remove it on your way up. So it's really important not to push yourself, because obviously this can lead to, especially if you're on your own, really dangerous situations.
There's a few things you need to know sort of about sea safety, especially involving spearfishing. I just sort of break them down to sort of compartmentalise them. The first thing is the conditions. It's the most important thing to check before going into any sea environment. So you want to check the weather, because it can change like that. It can go from completely flat seas to 6-7 foot of surf, and that has happened and will happen again. The wind, a huge one. People don't underestimate the wind all the time, so you can easily be blown out to sea, especially if you're underwater spearfishing. The currents can move with the wind and the swell, so you can be dragged out without even realising it. Third one is the tides. It's a massive one. Tides are absolutely huge. You'll easily be dragged this way and that, and then you can end up 100 metres down the coast and not realising where you are, and there's no exit point. Next one is your gear. The gear is probably your most important in any sea sport. So if you're using wetsuits like that, make sure they're good, so you keep warm, so you don't get cold, because hypothermia will kill you. That sounds really serious, but it can. And weight belts, things like that. We had a few incidents before where people's weight belts have slipped, causing them to slop onto one side and making it incredibly difficult to get back up again. Thirdly, your actual gun, making sure that you reload it properly. We have had someone shoot themselves in the hand before. And this is probably one of the most important things, is to let people know where you're going. Let them know when you're going to come back, because an unfortunate incident at the Helford, we had someone go spearfishing and they never came back again.